Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 93. Of course, I immediately screw up right at the beginning of the show of Ask the King. This is my bi-monthly Q&A show where I ask your burning I can't speak today. No, you know what? Hold on. I'm sorry. We're starting over. That was terrible. Here we go. Ready?
Mail, motherfucker.
Fucking shitballs. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Phil here, and welcome to Ask the King, episode 93. This is the show where I answer your burning questions from my forums on DSPGaming.com, from the members who are part of my channel here on DSP Gaming who post up in a members-only thread, and of course, Twitter. Welcome, everyone. It is Thanksgiving 2022. It is a national holiday here in the United States of America. So, sincerely and truly, from mine to your and yours, I hope that you all have a very, very happy Thanksgiving holiday today, no matter what it is that you do. Every year, I usually do something for Thanksgiving, and some years it's gaming, and some years it's this. I decided this year it would make ample sense to do a holiday Ask the King. All right? This year, I will try not to bring up anyone and cause controversy and drama. Controversy and drama. The reason I bring that up is, you remember earlier this year I reacted to the John Rambo and Howard video from 2015. It was actually Thanksgiving 2015, where on Ask the King people asked me about Rambo, and I answered a question about it, and then apparently he got harassed on Thanksgiving about it, and he made a big stink about it in his video about me. So I will try not to do that this year. 7 years. Maybe I'll learn something and not cause problems for people on the internet. So thank you all for your questions. I have many, many of them to get through today. We're going to jump right in a moment. If you're interested in submitting a question for the next episode of Ask the King, which is tentatively scheduled for late January 2023, right now, the one way you can do that is by typing !Ask the King into the stream chat to bring up the link, or just head over to DSPGaming.com. I've already set up the thread for the next episode. Now, as we approach that episode, if you're a channel member here on DSP Gaming, you will get priority access to post up your questions. And by the way, the vast majority of questions that I'll be answering today are from channel members. So members get huge priority and huge favoritism when it comes to this show. If you have a problem with people getting favoritism, too bad, I don't care. That's how it works here on DSP Gaming, okay? So, first of all, I already said this earlier on my podcast, but I'll just reiterate. Thank you all right? If it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for your constructive criticism, your constant feedback for improvement, your viewership, your engagement, and yes, your financial contributions, I would not be able to make a living doing what I love. This is an amazing experience that I get to do this every day and have a ton of fun sharing my thoughts. You know, and it's not, the thing is too, I'm not a one-trick pony where it's all just about Phil plays games, right? We could do fun things like Ask the King. Tomorrow, hell, we're doing a crazy marathon where I react to advertisements. This is great that we are actually expanding and creating all this variety of content that I'm now starting to make on the internet. That's not just me sitting here playing games, because, you know, it's called future-proofing. I can't just sit here and play games forever. I'm 40 years old. One day I'm not going to have the hand-eye coordination, and, you guys aren't going to want to see a 60-year-old guy with hair coming out of his ears, you know, his dentures popping out as he rages at a game, his balls clacking together because they're hanging down to his knees as he gets all uppity about a video game. You want to maybe do some other stuff with me, right? And I'm down for that. So thank you guys for a great year of variety and fun, and all the, again, the constructive suggestions you've thrown my way this year have really added to the variety of content that we put out here on DSP Gaming, all right? Now, also, one thing I want to say before we get started, the holidays are upon us. As of today, this is the final day for that kind of Thanksgiving festivities. Starting tomorrow, some holiday-themed stuff will hit. It's not all of it. It's only going to be like one or two things. But over the course of the next week, I'll be transitioning over to the Christmas stuff. So for those who love to get into that Christmassy mood, me too, you're going to see that sooner rather than later. All right? I have one quick shout-out to do, and then we're going to get right into the questions. From Phil Smokes Crack. Tipped me $1.25 and says, what are you having for dinner? We're going to have chicken parm and a shrimp parm. Nobody in the family likes turkey. we are going to have a turkey breast roast in the oven. That's going to be cooked for about 3 hours and basted. We are going to have a variety of sides, including sweet potato casserole, also regular potatoes au gratin. We're going to have a cornbread dressing stuffing. We're going to have 4 cheese mac and cheese. We're going to have jellied cranberry sauce and some dinner rolls that we're going to butter. And then after all of that, because I'm sure we'll have room, we have pumpkin pie for dessert. That's our Thanksgiving spread. And if you're interested in seeing that, probably later today I will do a YouTube short just to show you what we got. Fair enough? So there you go. You want to see it? Maybe later today here you'll see a YouTube short on DSPGaming. Okay? So, happy Thanksgiving to all you who celebrated today. If you're not in the United States, it's just a normal day for you. Well, too bad. Sorry that you don't get a nice day like us. Be incredibly jealous of us over here, of course. Okay. Actually, the truth of the matter is, I know I have a large international viewer base, and most of them had a Thanksgiving another day this year, so you already had one. All right, we get it last. Okay. All right, ready? Let's get started. Immediately, we're going to go right to the members. Channel members always get priority here on DSP Gaming. So let's start answering questions for my channel members, shall we? From Alex7AJ. He says, Happy Thanksgiving, Phil. What do you feel is the next step in the evolution of gaming? And what do you think would be cool to experience in the future that we cannot do in the present? You know, it's hard to say. If you think over the last couple of console generations, right, of games, when we were looking at the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation, what was the big innovation? Graphics. Why? Right? All the games went widescreen. All the games went HD. That was really the big improvement at that point. And oh, you know what? Online play. Because at that point, up to that point, there wasn't mainline online play for most games. And that console generation was really the generation where all of that was added. That was the big innovation, right? The next generation, so we're talking PS4, Xbox One era, what was added? Well, graphically, did things improve? Yes. But I would say the major focus was more on length of games and capacity of games. That was the console generation when all of a sudden we saw so many RPGs, open world action games, sandbox games. And as a result of that, what we ended up seeing was entire genres of games being included, like the co-op looter shooter and battle royale. Without the advancements that we had seen in gaming during that generation, you never would have had any of that stuff possible, right? Now, we're in the current console generation today, the PS5, Xbox Series era. What have we really seen innovative so far? Well, the attempts that they've tried to do to innovate haven't really resonated. For example, haptic feedback and the DualSense controller's adaptive triggers sometimes are used well by certain games, but in reality, even the giant, in my opinion, the giant attempts to make it mainstream, like, you know, God of War I'm playing right now, Ragnarok, does it really use it that much? No, not at all. When you're climbing a wall, you feel a little bit of vibration. During combat, every once in a while, if you activate rage, the controller vibrates. It doesn't really add anything. Most games that I've done it or played it in, all right, or used it in, I don't remember it's in it after 5 minutes, all right? Some exceptions were Astro's Playroom, which is the launch title for PS5, which the entire game was based around it, or Bug Snacks, where every time that you were trying to catch a bug snack, your controller would vibrate based on the type of bug snack and how you were catching it. And in addition, whenever there was a thunderstorm, the actual thunderstorm would shake your controller with the crack of lightning and thunder. So basically, you would actually feel it resonate in the game. Since then, I'm not even shitting you, I have not felt like there's been a game that has utilized the adaptive triggers or the haptic feedback well. Take a look at like Call of Duty. The Call of Duty at launch of PS5 actually used it too much, and you would accidentally get melee attacks constantly. So, yeah, I mean, that was the attempt. Oh, this is the new thing for the new console gen. It doesn't even factor in. Now when I play a cross-platform game, I don't even care about the DualSense or the adaptive triggers. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a factor for me because it's added nothing to the games that I've played so far. Outside of that, graphics, I would say this console gen graphically, trying to get all games up to 60 frames per second, or if you're only going to go do 30 frames, making every game kind of look cinematic, almost like a movie, with the level of graphics that are in games now. I would definitely say we've seen a lot of that. And some games, let's be honest, have definitely fallen flat, like Gotham Knights and Sonic Frontiers, just to name a few recently, where these games absolutely you expected them to look better and they ran like shit, right? So, what can we do, right, for current games to feel like they're a new experience? You know, what are we looking for? I don't know. Sadly, I'm not that creative of a dude to say, hey, this is definitely, you know, what I can say is, what are the things that they've attempted over and over that flop and don't work? Motion controls, right? They've tried this multiple console generations. It does not work. The motion controls that they put out there needed too much lighting or too much room to work. And they ended up being a gimmick where, remember at the launch of Xbox One, they were like, you just don't need to use your controller anymore. You turn Xbox on. And then you would go like this to go through menus, right? And then Xbox, play, Xbox, play Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Rankin Bass Christmas Special. And it would just play it for you. How many people actually use that? Zero. None. Because even those that tried didn't even work right. Remember? Do you remember? Yo, do you remember when I was playing online in one of a Call of Duty and you heard someone screaming Xbox off into their microphone, trying to get their Xbox to rage quit out of a game? I remember that shit. That shit was funny. Anyway, so what I mean, like some of the things that they've tried, virtual reality, right? Does it work? Yeah. But is it needed? Not really. It's a gimmick. It's something that maybe you'll add a little bit of an added dimension to a game, but even in all the PSVR games that I played at its launch, there was no killer app. There was no game that I felt if I didn't play it, I was missing out on a Game of the Year style experience. So, what really is the next innovation? I don't know. It seems like when it comes to games, what you see is levels of almost fads, right? Like there was the zombie games fad, there was the looter shooter co-op fad, there was the battle royale fad. Now you almost have like the viral game fad, where it doesn't even, there's not consistency to it. But you get Fall Guys, then you get Among Us, then you get Cult of the Lamb. Each game each year is like a cutesy indie game that becomes the golden child of every streamer out there that they make bank playing it. And all of a sudden that company blows up in popularity and makes $1 billion on this silly little game. I don't know. I don't know what the next thing's going to be. I really don't. I've been doing this for 14 years. I've been a lifelong gamer. I've certainly seen trends happen that I never expected, but I don't know. I wish I had the answers, Alex. I don't. All right. Let's continue from, by the way, I see contributions are coming in. I absolutely will shout them out, but I do have to get through a few questions. The focus has to be on the questions people have submitted, and I will try to alternate back and forth. Let me get a few questions answered, then we'll get over to contributions. Okay? Thank you for that. Kiterade 1317 says, Phil, thank you for all of your hard work and your willingness to fight the good fight against your haters. My question is, if gaming follows trends as we know, right now it feels as if the common trend is open worlds. Do you feel that too many games are going open world to the point that it feels repetitive? Why do you think so many RPGs fail to create quests as deep as those from CD Projekt Red, and they simply rely on kill this enemy and steal this, collect this item, etc.? Well, there's two reasons. Let's be honest. Lack of creativity and talent, or pressure to put out a game in a time period by management and or a publisher and or, whoever's in charge, and to make money. Do you really think that there's a single game developer out there that says, you know what, I just want to put as much crap into my game as possible. I don't care if it's boring. I don't care if it's repetitive. I don't even care if it works, just as long as there's content in my game and I can sell it. I don't believe that. I don't think that there's a single game dev out there that's like, I'm just going to go to work today to shovel as much shit into this game as possible and then go home. I don't think so. I think that in reality, game developers are creative people who want to do what they love, and 9 times out of 10, that creativity gets stifled by reality. The people in charge, the people who make the money, who control the money, tell them what they can and can't do. I personally feel that, if you had creators who had more open control of what they were doing, that possibly games would be better. All right? But I hate to say it, the creative minds usually aren't the ones who make the money decisions. They're just not. It's usually another company who decides we want to finance this project. And then, they have a studio making the game. They look at the progress the studio's making and they're like, well, do this, do this, do this. And there's corners cut and there's content rushed. There's literally no reason whatsoever, not even an excuse where you can justify a collection style quest, you know, a fetch quest in 2022. There's just no, it doesn't serve a purpose anymore. Fetch quests originally were put into games to add content to a game that had limitations. Oh, we can only fit this much in the storage medium of the game. We could only do this much with the graphical engine and the memory available. Therefore, reuse assets, right? Oh, kill 10 goblins over here, kill 10 goblins over there. 2 quests, but it's the same exact quest, but it's a fetch quest or a repetitive quest, but it was because they had to reuse assets to make it work. Today, these companies, I mean, they don't even have a storage limit, right? Like, everything's digital anyway. You know, games are coming out that are 100 gigs or more. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? So there's no excuse for these kinds of quests besides, oh, we were just told to put in as much arbitrary gameplay as possible because we got to get this game out by a certain date. We have to claim it has a certain amount of hours of gameplay, right? Basically, what a lot of these companies, they have boxes to check off. Here's our checklist we were given by our powers that be. Must have this much gameplay, must have this much content, must have this, right? And I would even think that at this point, you probably have bigwigs of these companies who have talking points or demands, and they don't even know what they mean. Like, for example, I guarantee you there's companies out there that are like, we want side content like Witcher 3. And the only reason they say that is because everyone in the industry claims that Witcher 3 has best-in-class side content. Do you think that the fucking manager in charge of the fucking major game company actually played Witcher 3? No. They're too busy on their fucking yacht, you know, fishing for marlins and shit. Drinking fucking Courvoisier with their family. They don't fucking play Witcher 3. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But these are the people in charge of these companies. So you gotta deal with that shit, you know? And I think the game devs really, they do the best with what they can do. And that's why, sadly, you get games like Anthem, right? A game from a game studio that literally doesn't make that kind of game. Told their parent company, we don't make this kind of game, and we wouldn't want to do it, and they were told to do it anyway. And at halfway through development, they literally said to their parent company, you keep telling us to make this game, it's going to just be another Destiny. We don't want to do it. And they were told, fuck you. Don't care. Make the game. They made it. It sucked. It tanked. Guess who's to blame, right? But that's what I mean. This is what you get in the industry. Yes, I do feel there are just far too many games out there that have so much open world repetitive content for the sake of saying, hey, we have content in our game, as opposed to meaningful content. I would much rather play a 10 to 20 hour game that has all meaningful content than a 40 plus hour game that's 20 to 30 hours of padding shit. You know what I mean? Give me the meaningful shit, or else what's the point, right? So yes, I hear you, and I think that's why you have games like that. If every studio had unlimited budget, unlimited time, no limitations, no demands or constraints by those who are in power to get the game out by this date, you know, this much content, check off the boxes, they would probably all be pumping out amazing games. But sadly, the industry, it's just like any other entertainment and medium. Once it becomes so profitable, these companies get their hooks into you. We are the only ones with money, right? So we're the ones who are going to finance your project. It's the deal with the devil, right? Either you do it with us, or you're not going to, or you be indie. Good luck taking off from the ground if you're indie. Now you really have constraints. You can't do what you want, right? So we'll take your money, we'll take your funding, we'll take all your support, but good luck pumping out the game you actually intended to make, because now you're being told what to do. It's the ultimate double-edged sword, right? If anything, in the modern day, if you take a look at games like God of War Ragnarok, like so far, I'm 20 hours in, there's been 2 side content areas that I've done content, and they've both been great. They've kind of had their own little plot lines, their own things going on. It doesn't feel like a collection or fetch quest when you're doing them. And to me, it feels like it's well-intentioned, well-designed, you know. That's the way to go. Same thing with Witcher 3 is the best in class, where almost every side content storyline had its own meaning, its own characters involved. They didn't necessarily have to tie into the main plot of the game, but man, they were meaningful and fun, right? That's the way to do it, right? But not every game is that lucky. Not every game is Sony Santa Monica or, you know, a CD Projekt Red funded game. And even then, CD Projekt Red can make huge missteps with a game like Cyberpunk. So, okay, let's do one more question from members, and then let's do some shout-outs for contributions. Uchiha Gara 9 says, what's your favorite game controller of all time? Functionality, comfort, button layout, etc. You know, I don't think I can overall say of all time, but I'll give you my top 2. All right? For the classic era, Super Nintendo controller. All right? The Super Nintendo controller was innovative because at a time when most other controllers, all right, were very limited in what they could do. I mean, its major competition at the time was the Genesis controller. And if you look at the Genesis, it was only 3 face buttons and a start. Not even a select, no shoulder buttons. The controller really didn't even grip that well in your hand. It was very limited with what it could do. And even the placement of the buttons, having all 3, it was easy to hit A and C. B was always a pain to hit because between the other 2 buttons. So the Super Nintendo controller took the best things from the Nintendo controller and insanely innovated on top of it. You know what I'm saying? Like 4 face buttons instead of 2, and they're all in a unique diamond pattern, so they're all easy to hit. You don't have to stumble over one to hit another. 2 shoulder buttons. Now you don't even have to use the face buttons for certain things, and the shoulder buttons were very innovative at the time. So many games took advantage of having those shoulder buttons. I mean, there was entire games, for example, fighting games. Those shoulder buttons made those fighting games viable on home console. Try playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat on a fucking Sega Genesis 3-button gamepad, and you might as well not play them at all. It's a huge joke. You have to go buy a new gamepad to play those games on Genesis, while on Super Nintendo, you are good to go out of the box. Okay? So it was so innovative. Now, some people would argue the thumbsticks of, say, the PlayStation 1 or the Nintendo 64 controller. I agree with you there. But if you take a look, that's really the thing that kind of innovated, but everything else was based on Super Nintendo controller. Like if you look at PS1 controller, the face buttons, the shoulder buttons, those are all from SNES. They just thought, oh, add the thumbstick to it. So I'm going to go SNES. Okay? Now, modern controller, I would say the one that did it for me was the Xbox 360 controller. Okay? This controller was smart enough to know to have 2 thumbsticks that were not parallel, but instead to have one slightly angled differently than the other. When you are controlling a shooter, having that thumbstick highly elevated as opposed to down here actually is an asset, in my opinion. I'll give you an example. Recently, I was playing the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta, and I played it both on PS5 and Xbox Series X. PS5, after playing it for a couple of hours, my left thumb got tired. Playing it on Xbox Series X, my thumb never gets tired. It's just the placement of the thumbstick. And it was Xbox 360 that knew that that should happen, okay? Also, the Xbox 360, and of course I don't have a 360 pad, but this is the modern Series X controller. It added a real ergonomic grip. Now you might say, oh, well, the PS controller had that before. You're correct, but this one actually made it more contoured to your hand. The PlayStation controller was infamous that overextended play sessions would create almost a sweaty feeling to it that you would like, like slip out of your hand. Xbox 360, I played so many grindy sessions of gameplay on that thing, and I absolutely loved it. Again, that was the days when I was playing Halo 3, Modern Warfare 1 and 2, and playing those, I never felt like my controller is getting gross or yucky. It just did a lot of things differently. Oh, by the way, it should be added that it was actually the Xbox 360 controller to be the first one to have your headphones plug right into it, as opposed to all the other controllers either having to go wireless Bluetooth that didn't really work or sound very good or whatever. All you needed was an adapter and you could have all your shit plugged right into your controller. So modern, I'll go with the 360 controller. Retro, I'll go with the SNES. There you go. Okay, let's do some shout outs for contributions that have come in. From Rick Perez, I received a $25 tip. That is very generous, Rick. Let's get you a nice animation. Let's get you up on the leaderboard as the biggest tip contributor of the day so far. And with that, it is official. We have hit our Tier 1 tips goal, which means it's Gutter Glasses time. Let's get those on. And by the way, for those who are watching Ask the King, you may have noticed a few things are a little different around here. Number one, you might notice the webcam quality is much better. That's because someone gifted me a new webcam that is exactly the same brand as my old one and doesn't use any additional resources on my PC. So the sharpness and resolution of my webcam has dramatically improved since the last Ask the King. If you can't tell, I look a lot sharper. And I was actually gifted a new pair of modernized Gunner glasses by viewers as well that I've been using for about a month. I really like them. They're actually way more comfortable than the older Gunner glasses that I used to have. So thank you to everyone who's been contributing, as always, to my streams and my content. You guys, again, are the reason why I continue to be successful, and I really appreciate all of your help. So there we go. Gunner glasses time. And Rick says the following. Let's read his message here. Happy Thanksgiving, man. You're a beacon of light, in my opinion. Someone who throughout the years has endured all these evils of the internet, and you still push on. You're a great guy. You brought me tremendous laughter and emotion ever since 2013. Wish you and your wife all the luck in the world. Thank you so much. What a very generous contribution and a very nice message as well. I really appreciate that. And then another tip has come in. A $10 tip. He says, I don't know who that last guy was. I'm the real Phil Smokes Crack. I'm not sure why they're pretending to be me. Actually, I don't know why anyone would want to compete to be someone named Phil Smokes Crack to begin with. But I do appreciate the $10 tip. And, hey, I just read them like I see them. You know, I read any name because anyone could say any name when they tip. It's always been like that. So, thank you for the tip. Derek says he really enjoyed today's Ask the King. And he says the quality looks very good. Thank you, Derek. Good to have you for the show today. Excuse me. And happy Thanksgiving to you, Mr. Mac. All right, let's continue on with the show. Our next question is from Tartarian Truth. And this is a question that I get asked from time to time. My answer literally has not changed over the years, so I'm just going to give you guys the same answer because I feel like it's good to kind of repeat myself every once in a while when it comes to certain universal questions. So Tartarian Truth says, if you could give advice to a new YouTuber just starting their journey, what would it be? The best advice that I can give to anyone starting off as a content creator in any medium, whether it may be Twitch or YouTube, streaming or on demand or whatever, okay? Whatever content you're going to make sure that it's content that you enjoy making, is meaningful to you, and that you're in a situation where it feels like a good use of your time and you enjoy it. Allow me to explain. If you're someone who absolutely loves anime, and you decided to open up an anime channel where you're going to discuss existing animes and your commentary about it, and you're going to do shows about that, and you're also going to talk about upcoming anime to be released or whatever, chances are, even if you never take off, you're going to have a ball doing it because it's something you love, correct? I've actually seen people decide I want to be a content creator, and the only way that I could do it is to, like, I'm going to play a fighting game, and I'm going to grind till I hit a certain rank, and I'm going to hold that rank. But they don't even enjoy doing it. They're just doing it because they feel like arbitrarily that's the only way that they're going to get any kind of a following on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, because they have to be seen as a top-ranked player, right? Or, you know, I'm going to do a series, and this series has to hit a certain amount of popularity, and if it doesn't, I give up on it. It's just not the way to go about it. When I started on YouTube, all right, in 2008, all right, I didn't give a shit if anyone watched the videos. Seriously. My mentality was, I'm a gamer. I play games. I rage at them. I'm just going to record the screen. I'm going to toss it out there. If anyone watches, great. And if not, I really don't give a shit. And I never took myself seriously, but it was like something I was already doing and enjoying. Why not share that with the world at a time when YouTube was becoming a burgeoning website where people could share their experiences with a live audience all over the planet, right? And it just so happens I was in the right place, right time with the kind of content that I was putting out. And people loved the commentary I was doing. And it just took off, and it was luck, you know? But imagine if I decided to just do stuff I didn't like, right? That's the thing, especially if what you're going to do, especially in the modern day. Oh, my God. Today, in the modern day, it's going to be a grind. Why? Because in the last 14, 15 years, all these venues, YouTube, Twitch, they're all now profitable ways to make a living if you can get noticed and get viewership. And a lot of people are struggling because they go into it with the mentality that, oh, I'm just going to do this and take off. This is my job. And it's not going to always work. Not everyone's going to be that lucky. Not everyone's going to be able to do it. There's too much competition. You know, there's a lot of stagnation with a lot of kinds of content out there. It seems like everyone today has to make the same kind of content. Everyone has to have some kind of a commentary channel where all they do is they talk about news, they talk about drama. Everyone has to do that. If you don't do it, it's very, very hard to get noticed in any way, shape, or form on the internet. And you shouldn't be discouraged if you start up and you don't take off. But here's the thing. if what you're doing when you start up is something you have passion for and you love, number one, that passion should rightly come through in the content, right? If you're playing a game you absolutely love and you're sharing meaningful experiences and commentary with your audience, that's going to resonate way more than someone who's just repetitively playing the same fighting game 5,000 times to get to a certain rank, right? And the other thing is, if you don't take off, at least you had fun doing it. You don't feel like you wasted your time because everything you did was meaningful to you and you had a good time, as opposed to feeling so many people treating it like work, right? And to some extent, yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it if you want to make it happen as a way to make a living. But at the very same time, when you make everything about work, you lose the passion. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people now go into it in that mentality that's just going to be this grind of work. Got to put out a video, got to do a topic, got to do this, rather than, oh, here's something creative or meaningful or interesting or different that will actually make people want to watch. You see? There's a big difference there. That's my advice. Okay, continuing on here. By the way, we've hit 100 likes on the stream. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do something that I do when we hit 100 likes for engagement on any stream. We're going to do a celebratory bubble blow. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is not just any bubble blow. This is a ultimately grateful Thanksgiving Day triple bubble blow. 1, 2. Very exciting. 3. Triple bubble blow for Thanksgiving. There you go. My hand is now soaked in bubble solution. Go Team Venture has stopped by. Just wants to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you, Go Team Venture. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. All right. And now, without further delay or ado, let's just continue, because I got many more questions to answer. Our next question from Dacky Smurf. Dacky Smurf asked the following. A few years ago, you had mentioned a conversation with your mother about establishing a 10-year plan to grow your business. It's actually completely incorrect. We'll talk about that in a moment. You also had mentioned over a year ago you had an interest in growing your brand by eventually establishing a network of content for your businesses. As times change quite frequently as a content creator and as things stand now, where do you in your career as a content creator, where do you see it going in 10 years? Any steps you've taken to grow your channel moving forward? Is there any plan to one day retire from streaming, gaming, or other content? When you're able to retire from streaming, what would you like to have done with your channel and content? Is there any way that you'd like to finally leave the platform, whichever one that may be at the time? Let's actually, answer each piece, because actually some of this is incorrect information. Okay? So in 2019, things were a lot different. The world was a lot different 3 years ago. Let's be honest here. Okay? Pre-COVID and everything. And in 2019, at that time, a few things were happening. Okay? Number one, I'll just be honest with you. I really feel like there was a lot more toxicity towards me and my content then. All right? I do feel that, how can I say it? Like, I've made a lot of improvements and changes in the last few years that people really like. And a lot of people who used to be hard on me have laid off and said, okay, he's changed, But back then was kind of some of the big hatred against me, right? And it was like every little thing I did, people were so angry and upset. That even me going to Connecticut, visiting my parents, who are getting elderly now, are having health problems. They can't even travel out here to visit me anymore. So I made the plans that I was going to go visit them with Kat, who at that point was my fiance. But our secret plans that we didn't reveal to anyone is that we were going to get married while we were in Connecticut. Why did we have to do it as a secret? Because again, we were actually afraid that there'd be people who would actually try to fuck with our wedding and do fucked up things, because people were so messed up with the things they were doing and saying about us on the internet. Okay? So that being said, 2019 was a different time. I was also in the midst of an insane amount of problems with my debt, where things were coming to a head. I couldn't afford to pay my bills anymore. A lot of things were happening. And basically, the journey to Connecticut that year was for many reasons. Yes, to see my parents in person, because I hadn't seen them for many years, and maybe to kind of say maybe this will be the last time I see them in person because they have health problems. That was number one. Number two, to get married because it made sense to get married. You know, my parents, you know, we had a nice meal together, had some family members that were there, as opposed to just trying to figure out something to do for ourselves out here, which probably wasn't going to happen. And then number 3, to talk about the future. And I had a major conversation with my mother at that point. And essentially we came to 2 decisions. Decision number 1 was that I was going to basically declare bankruptcy. That there was no way that I was going to move forward with my life with the amount of debt that I had. I was never going to pay it off. So I had to declare bankruptcy. That was decision number 1. Okay? Decision number 2 was that I was going to have a plan, essentially a 10-year plan, where I was going to try to phase myself out of being a YouTube content creator and try to get a real life job. Because basically things you could see, like the money I was making on YouTube was declining at the time. People were hating on me all over the internet and not liking me, you know, shitting all over me. And we were at the point where basically the harassment had gotten so bad. Like my mother was like, how could you go on with your life, right? If this is going to be every moment is going to be harassment and messed up things happening to you. And I guess you're right. She's like, you're not beholden to people on the internet. Your life is your own. Yet the life that you're living because you're on the internet with your job, you kind of are beholden to them, which is stupid. Why have your whole life be controlled by these people on the internet? And I was like, you know, you're kind of right. So at that point, the goal was declare bankruptcy, all right, get to a point where things were a little bit more financially stable, and then eventually try to find a way to phase myself out of being a content creator on the internet. Okay? Okay. But what happened? Within less than a year, right, of me having that conversation with my mother, COVID happened. And what happened during COVID? Literally the world changed. Businesses, jobs, entire industries. And at that point, all right, if I had decided that I was going to quit content creation, right, and I started phasing out, and imagine if I had tried to get a real world job, I probably would have lost it. Imagine, right, if I had decided that's it for me, I'm going to just, you know, throw in the towel and go get a brick and mortar job, maybe 2 brick and mortar jobs because I would have to, because there's no way I'm going to get a job that's going to pay as much as me being a YouTuber, honestly. You know, I'd be in a situation where basically I'd probably lose everything. I wouldn't be able to afford my house anymore. I wouldn't be able to afford, I lost everything I have. And having bad credit, I don't even know where I would have lived, because when you have no credit, you can't even get like a background check passed to even get an apartment or anything. So I don't know what would have happened to me in my life at that point if I had made that decision. Oh, I'm just going to quit everything and start over. It might have been a disastrous choice for me. Okay? And what we actually saw during those COVID years, which I would say 2010, 2011 were probably the 2010, 2011. Let's try that again. 2020, 2021 were probably the COVID years, right? What we saw, all right, is that basically all this stuff in real life is kind of weird. Like, out of all the jobs I've ever had, all right, the in-person stuff has never been stable. You know, and I've worked fast food, and I worked at various retailers like Best Buy, Circuit City, places like that. I've had a bank job where I worked for a bank doing loans and credit cards. All right. I worked for a helicopter company for 4.5 years, a company that, by everything they were telling me, all the extra work and time and everything I was doing was setting myself up for a lifetime of success at this company. This was going to be my career forever. And then they laid me off. You know? So everything I've done as an in-person job, all I've learned is as follows. It's never stable. It's never guaranteed. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter, you know, how well you do. You're a disposable asset on a spreadsheet. You're just a number. You're a cog in a machine. And at any moment, if something goes wrong, you're get tossed out the back door like yesterday's garbage. And they don't give a shit, right? If anything, ever since I became my own boss, I've figured out that as long as I stay the course, as long as I remain positive, as long as I keep putting out content that's meaningful to people, my viewership, my followers, my true fans have followed me from YouTube to Blip to YouTube to Twitch to YouTube to Twitch to YouTube, back and forth all over the place, and they still follow me, they still support me no matter what happens, through thick and thin, right? So, if anything, what I've learned is it's not necessarily about It's not really about the job. It's more about me. As long as I stay true to myself and people like who I am, then they're going to follow me and support me no matter where I go. All right? Now, here's the thing. What I've come to realize in the last couple of years. There is absolutely no way that I can continue to be who I am on the internet, a full-time gamer forever. That's impossible. There's no way that's going to work. I'm going to get older, right? I'm going to become different. That's just what happens when you get older. As you age, things change. And what's going to happen is, ultimately, and what a lot of these other YouTubers have realized too, it's not about the constant grind of gaming anymore. It's more about having that variety where you have a commentary that people like. If people like you, then obviously they want to hear what you have to say about various different topics, right? So what you've noticed in the last year, right, is that I veered away from doing full-time gameplay and I do a podcast every day, right? I've integrated new things into my schedule, react events where you guys have really enjoyed the commentary that I've done on things like these documentaries. Tomorrow we're going to do a really special and fun advertisements react event that I think you guys are going to love. I can't believe the ads that are nominated are going to be so hilarious to react to. I can't wait. So because of this diversification that I'm doing, I'm actually realizing that what could happen is, even though maybe this channel will never really grow for gaming, I could maybe diversify myself in other ways, and those will see some growth. All right? And by the way, I'm happy with where I am right now anyway. As long as I'm not seeing a plummeting of following or a plummeting of support, then I'm okay. And I haven't seen that at all. Admittedly, this gaming season, we've seen a plateau, right? Where we're not seeing any influx of new viewers or anything for new releases anymore. But at least it doesn't mean I'm going out of business, right? So the 10-year plan originally was, hey, within 10 years of 2019, let's make it that you no longer are doing this for a living as a YouTuber. You've got a brick and mortar job. COVID ruined all of that. Because if anything COVID showed us, nothing is for real. Nothing at any point, this whole, brick and mortar shit could just go away. Any sickness, anything could just shut everything down. So you can't rely on that. Okay? And by the way, I would have to do brick and mortar like retail jobs and stuff. No one's going to pick me up in an office. I've been out of the industry since 2010. Who the hell's going to pick me up for like a customer support job or anything in the helicopter or aviation industry? No one. I've been out of the job for too long. You see? So basically, that's out. There's no way I could do an in-person job and be successful because that's just not what I've experienced it anymore. But what the 10-year plan has essentially evolved into is within 10 years, diversify myself enough on the internet that now I'm not just the gamer guy anymore, right? Now I'm known for other things, right? You can watch my podcast. You can come to a React event. You could see Phil do other shit and not even care about the gameplay, and that's all well and good. And maybe because of that, there'll actually be some potential for growth as opposed to, oh, it's just Phil sitting here playing games all day and he'll never grow, right? So that's really the new 10-year plan, even though it's not new. And we're essentially 3 years into that plan. This year was a huge year for me for that, okay? And yes, there'll be more in the future that I'm going to be talking about very soon. Some plans in particular for next year, some announcements that I have, some new stuff coming that I think you guys are going to really like. I'm not sure exactly how 100% how it's going to be implemented yet, but I've got things in the works for 2023 based on a lot of things that have happened this year that I think you guys particularly are going to really enjoy. Okay? So, I'll let you know more about that as we get closer to it. But as of now, yes, the plan is in effect and diversification is in effect. And it's not always just going to be about Phil playing games moving forward. That's failing. Let's be honest. There's an audience for it. I love doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. But that can't just be what I do forever. We've got to diversify. And I'm working on that right now. So there you go. Now, as we're retiring and all of that, I have no plans to do that anytime soon. That's all based on many things. Will my interest ever wane in making content and interacting with you guys on the internet? Will my health or age ever have a reason that limits me from doing it? I don't know. We may see that happen. We may not, right? But for me, it's not really concerned at 40 years old. I got many, many more years of doing this in me, I feel. Okay? Okay. I have 2 more contributions to shout out, but I want to do another question first. Let's do a question first. From Shia. What do you think future interactive drama and survival horror games need to include to be successful, and what do they need to avoid? I like to see truly divergent paths that can be a completely different story instead of a slight variation of the same thing, but I don't know how feasible that is. What he's saying, basically, is take a look at a game like we just played, The Devil in Me, okay? You have various different choices you can make in that game. Do they change the entirety of the plot, or does it really just add a little variant where maybe in this case, one character survives, one character dies, whatever it may be, right? It's an interesting question because I don't know the answer because I only played the game once. I mean, ultimately, if you want true suspense, it's not really about horror. It's more about suspense and drama. To truly build suspense and drama, you have to have situations where it's a what-if scenario, and you have to actually have control over it. Because what's the point of suspense if you play the game once, you now know what was suspenseful, you know the resolution, and you'll never play it again. As opposed to maybe if it truly is a choose-your-own adventure game, where if you make one choice, you go down one path, and something completely different happens, while another way you go this way, and it's a different story altogether, right? Now, that could be interesting. Although, admittedly, have you ever seen anyone really do that? I mean, I've seen games where certain characters survive and die. I've never seen a game where if you take this choice, the Wendigos are after you. But if you take this choice, the entire plot changed, and actually it's a haunted house story. That could be interesting, right? Imagine if the game has 2 divergent paths, and depending on what you choose, you actually change the entirety of the plot. Innovative. Different. Never really been done. I think I'd like to see that. Will we see it? I don't know. A lot of these companies just like following their same formulas that work, as opposed to trying something innovative or different. But just imagine that. Imagine if the entirety of the plot changed, right? Like, imagine Until Dawn. What if, in one case, there really was a slasher killer on the loose, but in the other case, then you proved the slasher killer was fake, but it was the Wendigos instead? Now, admittedly, to have 2 entirely different game scenarios is probably going to take a lot more work than just pumping out a game where it has the one. And maybe that's really what's happened is, especially with the Dark Pictures anthology, once a year, they're pumping out a new game. They probably don't have the time and resources to make a game that's going to have all those choices, right? So, I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like right now, the Dark Pictures has hit a good stride, but obviously the games, they're not as good as they could be. Like, Devil in Me was all right. Wasn't amazing. It was all right. House of Ashes was good. I actually think Little Hope was the best. Man of Medan, man, not really good. Still, it's funny. I still feel like Until Dawn, the first game that essentially was the start of their horror genre, right? Really was the best one. So maybe they do need to innovate. I don't know. But that's what I think. I think truly divergent paths could actually be really good. But the question is, will it ever be feasible for a game company to do it, considering budget limitations, time constraints, and the like? That, I don't know. Okay? Let's do some more shout-outs for contributions, then we'll go back to some questions. Let's see here. Hold on. We've got a very generous $30 tip from 1 Minute Man today. 1 Minute Man has upped the ante. Thank you so much, 1 Minute Man, for the extra generous tip today on Thanksgiving. I really appreciate that. So that actually pushes 1 Minute Man into the top contributor spot for the stream. And that is much appreciated, especially because, remember, this is my only stream of the day. I'm not doing a second stream today because it's Thanksgiving. So that contribution is greatly appreciated. We are a mere $8 away from the vest because we're skipping the hat goal today. Makes no sense to do a hat goal when I'm already wearing a hat for Ask the King. So I told everyone that I would actually do the vest instead if we hit 100. So, oh, by the way, we do have a new animation for the Magic 8 Ball. If anyone tips $8 or more and gets to ask the 8 Ball a question, I play a special animation. Incidentally, we're $8 away from the tips goal. I'm just saying. Okay, let's continue. Next question is from Faz550. They say, I've been a follower of yours for a long time, and I watch some detractor channels about you. I agree that they take nuggets of truth and they extend it into something that's not true or completely exaggerated. I do feel you're not 100% truthful about certain things as well, which is understandable. I agree there. Do you think there's ever will be a time, maybe the interview, where you give a detailed response to their claims but somehow keep some things private? Or will the detractors always have something against you regardless of what evidence you give? They will always say shit, okay? But the thing is, if I do this interview, which by the way, at this point, I think it's between two people. I've thought about it all this month. I kind of went back and forth in my head. And I think the interview is going to be between two different content creators. All right? Haven't decided yet. I'm waiting because I know in December things will calm down for games and maybe I can finally talk to them concretely about doing it. But I got it down to two people. All right? But the purpose of this interview that I'm interested in doing is very simple. All right? To get my side of the story out there to a public audience that is not just my own audience here on DSP Gaming. Because here's the deal. So many content creators out there, all right, talk about me in a negative light all the time. I'm the butt of the joke, right? But how many of them have ever taken a moment to ask me about my take on any of the things that I get made fun of? Zero. They'll make the joke, they'll talk the shit, but then they won't actually do the 5 seconds of research to say, well, Phil actually did respond to that, and here's what he had to say. They ignore the response. Why? Because the response is only here on DSP Gaming, while you've got a plethora of content creators out there literally just crapping on me constantly and never giving me the time of day to actually get a public audience outside of what? The few thousand people I have on DSP Gaming. And that's not fair, right? So that's really the point, is to get me an audience outside of my own who will just listen. It doesn't mean they have to believe me. In fact, I get the feeling that the majority probably won't. But at least then, my side of the story is out there. As opposed to, here's one side of ridicule and messed up stuff, but let's actually just believe it blindly instead of actually looking a little bit further into it. Okay? Now, here's the thing. And I've already said this before, and I'll say it again. When I do an interview, can I really show that much concrete fact or anything like that? I mean, it depends on the question. So maybe in some cases I would be able to show some stuff, but in most cases the answer is no. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of why. Last month, my car broke down. I gave you guys very generalized information about my car breaking down. I gave no specifics about where I took it, what business I used to fix it, nothing. I just said I got it towed. I went to the shop. Here's what they charged me. Very generalized information. Within one day, people had already committed fraud, identity theft against me. They'd used my general information to impersonate me, to contact, I'm not kidding, every single car place within like a 5-mile radius was contacted within one day. And they catfished them using my information to think that they were me, and were able to obtain an entire invoice of the charges for everything that I had fixed in my car. All right. Now, I wasn't lying. I had showed you guys all the truthful information. I wasn't lying about it to begin with, so it wasn't like it was a big exposure thing. But the point is, this is what they do. So can you believe, all right? Can you believe if I actually gave you guys a single piece of information about anything in my private life, whether it be a receipt, whether it be something financial, the moment that any information is given like that, that would immediately be used to hurt me and my family. Now, I already went through this a year ago. I went through a situation where someone got unauthorized access to one of my financial accounts. It's not the one that people say it is, by the way, which is hilarious because that's, oh, this is the hardcore evidence. There's no evidence. It's all bullshit. It was never true. But what actually happened was they got access to an account they never should have got access to. They used that account to then jump into other accounts of mine that they shouldn't have had access to. And then they started fucking with all my money. Okay? And that was bad. And what ended up happening was I had to close everything. I had to close every account. I had to basically start over. And that cost me money. That cost me time. It violated agreements that I had with agencies and shit that I had to pay fees and shit to fix. It ruined me again. I was in a situation where, like, I was already reeling from being, kicked out of the Twitch partner program. And then they did all this to me. And it just made things so much worse and compounded the situation. All right? So now, knowing what I know, knowing that anytime a piece of information about me gets released on the internet, this is what happens. And knowing that a simple thing as a car repair, that people were willing to commit identity theft and fraud and impersonate me and lie to get a copy of the invoice. Can you imagine the lengths these people would go if I gave you concrete information about anything? So the answer is no. If I were to do this interview, All right. Could I really give a detailed response? I can tell you things, but I can't give you specifics, nor can I show you any actual, oh, here's an invoice, here's a statement, I can't do that. Because the moment I do that, they'll figure it out, and they're going to be fucking with all my stuff all over again. And I can't go through that again. I already went through thousands of dollars last year repairing all the things they fucked up. I cannot go through that again. You know? Legally, I'll tell you this. Legally, I've been advised by legal counsel to basically not give specifics out about my life like that ever again. That it's the worst thing I could do. All right? But in this case, what I'd like to at least do is open people's eyes and let them know, for every person on the internet that you're basically, ripping a new asshole because you feel better about yourself because you're doing it, you could actually be hurting that person, and what you're actually saying and propagating and regurgitating might not even be true because there's been no factual basis for it. It's hearsay, right? It's gossip. It's conspiracy. There's no concrete evidence of any of it, right? So because of that, it's kind of fucked up that people pass it around as fact when it's not. And it could actually hurt someone's livelihood, which it has. For me, can you imagine if the shit on the internet wasn't out there about me? I'd probably actually get new people coming to my channel and checking out the content. And I don't get that because of the shit that they say and do about me. So that would be the purpose of the interview, would be just to get my side out there. It's going to be mostly stuff you guys have already heard. There will be some exceptions. There'll be some things you've never heard before. All right? But for the most part, it's going to be a lot of the stuff you already heard here on DSP Gaming. But the point is to get it all concise in one interview in one spot and to have it accessible to those who say, okay, everything nasty's been said about DSP, but here's one place where you can get all the accusations and his responses to them at once, and you be the judge. As opposed to, let's just all regurgitate the same shit and laugh at DSP, right? That's all I can ask. And I don't know what would happen. We'll see. Like I said, I have two people in mind at this point. And basically, once we get through early December and games have calmed down and I have a little bit more time, I'm going to sit down with each one of these people and talk with them in depth about it and try to just, try to determine what's gonna happen. And I tell you, it's more than likely gonna happen because I like the take that each of these people have had on it. So, okay, I have 3 shout outs to do, and then we're gonna take our first break. Our first shout out, an $8 tip, and it's just an anonymous $8 tip. That's it. So I will actually play the 8-ball animation, despite the fact this person did not ask to 8-ball something. Here it is. A rolling 8-ball animation. But there's no question asked to 8-ball. But thank you very much for that. And what's going to happen now is you guys are going to be able to vote on a vest for me to wear for the rest of the show. Which is awesome. I can't wait to see what vest you guys vote for. So let's actually do that poll now. So, which vest is Thanksgiving best? The original beige, the red, the gold, or the McFly vest? There you go. Please choose between those. Shout out to Gokai Silver, who just became a channel member. Thank you so much, Gokai Silver, for the support. I appreciate that. We got a $1 tip from... This is completely false. It's just a troll, so I'm just going to ignore it. I'm not even going to count it. And I got another $8 tip from Chocoboko. Says, I'll take a shot of the 8-ball. Will I be able to eat 6 platters of enchiladas for today's Thanksgiving? Well, first of all, let's get you an 8-ball animation as well, because we're about to imbue and imbibe ourselves in the wisdom of the magic 8-ball. Will Chocoboko be able to eat 6 platters of enchilada for this Thanksgiving? Let's find out. Ready? It is certain. Holy shit. Someone clear the path to the bathroom for this man, because he's going to try to eat and successfully eat 6 platters of enchiladas. Good luck, my friend. I hope you don't hurt yourself, because that sounds like a dangerous endeavor for anyone. All right, let's add that. So now we're at $108 in tips. So if we hit the total 150, It's up to you guys what you want. If you want to see a hat swap or whatever, I guess we'll figure it out if we hit 150. Did I just type 150? I did, didn't I? Sorry, I'm old and stupid. There we go. Also, Little Crow just did a super chat, and he said, I can't see it. Scrolled off the screen. Ask the 8 ball if Andy will pick me. I have no idea what that means. And by the way, that super chat does not qualify for the 8 ball question. But thank you, Little Crow, for the super chat. It's probably an inside joke or something. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a brief break. If you're watching on demand, this will not affect you. I'm just going to split the part. And you'll be able to check out part 2. There's probably 3 parts to this one. Definitely check out part 2. If you're watching live on stream, there's going to be a brief, like, 5-minute break here for me to just, you know, see how the Thanksgiving cooking's going, stretch my legs a little bit, and then we're going to come back and continue on with the many questions that I still have to answer here on Ask the King Thanksgiving 2022. All right, guys, thank you so very much. 2 thumbs up. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in a little bit for more Ask the King.